Joel, appreciate you taking the time, as always, to come on with us. This is actually a very positive conversation we're about to have. A major development in the priest who was taken captive and taken hostage last month. Give us the update.
Yeah, the update is he was released on Monday, on July 21st. He was set free along with 10 women who were being held hostage by Boko Haram, this Islamist terrorist group that has been terrorizing Christians in Nigeria for a decade and a half now. So this is really a tremendous answer to our prayers, to the prayers of many of our followers and supporters around the world who have been praying for this man, Father Alphonsus Afina. And we're just so grateful for this good news today.
This is not generally how these stories end, unfortunately. Very often, a person does not survive. They're never heard from again. I know that the details are sensitive surrounding this, and there's some things that probably can't be shared. What do we know about the condition of the release, what led to his release?
Yeah, there's only so much that we can say because, as you say, it is a sensitive issue. But he was held in captivity for 51 days, and then on July 21st, he was handed over to security forces, to Nigerian security forces, who then brought him to his diocese in Maiduguri in Nigeria. So we know it was a peaceful handover. We don't know exactly what led to it, but he is safe. He is recovering. We're told he's in very high spirits, but his family's asking for privacy right now as he tries to recover from this terrible ordeal.
So he's in good spirits. He's, as far as we know, relatively healthy, it sounds like.
Yeah, he will need some sort of medical attention, but as far as we know, he's returned mostly healthy, mostly safe.
Do we know the reasoning why he was taken? Do we have any insight on what led to that? I mean, over 50 days being held captive is terrifying. Why did they go after him?
He was a fairly prominent member of the local Catholic Justice, Peace, and Development Commission, and he was CSI's partner in delivering aid to Christians who have been driven from their homes by Boko Haram terrorists. So he was actually on an aid mission while he was kidnapped. And we don't think that was a coincidence. We think Boko Haram targeted him because he was part of this network that was helping to keep hope alive for these displaced people. So we think he was targeted as a way of targeting the whole Christian community in this region.
Well, and let's talk about the heroics of this, faith leader, because this is somebody who was living in Alaska, working in Alaska, made the decision to go back to Nigeria, a hotbed for persecution. More Christians die in Nigeria than anywhere in the world. He made that decision to go back. He is a partner of Christian Solidarity International, helping you guys reach out and help the Christians who are being persecuted there. Reflect a little bit on that, because when you first told me that, when we first talked about his being taken captive and we were praying about it, I was shocked that, and I shouldn't be because it's brave, but that somebody would be willing to give of themselves in that way, to leave a place like Alaska and to go back to Nigeria.
Yeah, it's really a very impressive thing. Lots of young people in Nigeria, especially well-educated people in Nigeria, just want to leave because the educational prospects, the job prospects, the prospects for life are just so much better in the United States or in Europe or in other countries. But every once in a while, we'll meet some of these really special people who have all these talents and have all these skills. And they say, I want to go home. And he wasn't just from Nigeria. He was from Maiduguri. This is the epicenter of Islamic terrorism in Nigeria. This is where tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people have been driven from their homes. This is really the worst part of the country. And while he was in the US, he was taking counseling courses and trauma courses, knowing that he would go back to Nigeria and hoping that he would be able to apply some of these skills in counseling survivors of Boko Haram terrorism. So yeah, he's a truly special individual, and we're so grateful to God that he's safely home now.
And then he falls victim to the very persecution he's trying to help fight. And I'm sure he'll continue in that fight and in that battle. But, I have to ask you, you mentioned Boko Haram, obviously a terror organization that has been terrorizing Christians and others. Tell us a little bit more about what they believe, their background, why they're behaving in the way that they do.
Yeah, Simply put, the goal of Boko Haram is to establish an Islamic State in Nigeria and drive all the Christians out of Nigeria. Nigeria is a massive country, 200 million people. About half of those people are Christians. But in the north of Nigeria, it's a heavily Muslim majority area. And that's where Boko Haram has been the most active and where they have succeeded in killing thousands of Christians and driving many, many more out of the region. So yeah, they're an Islamist group. They want to create an Islamic State. They want to impose Islamic law, and they want the Christians gone.
And, you know, this is something that, and I know there are other issues going on in Nigeria as well, obviously, when it comes to persecution, but this is something that I think is foreign to so many people who live in the West and don't have to deal with these things day in and day out. We have talked about this many times. I cannot hammer it home enough. I want people to understand, for those who do not, the general situation happening in Nigeria. I don't care if we talk about this 5 times a week, because the world needs to know. Give us a framework from a 30,000 foot level of what is happening in Nigeria to Christians and religious minorities.
There are basically 2 conflict zones where Christians are really under attack. The first is where Father Alphonsus was operating in the area of Maiduguri in the northeast of Nigeria. This is Boko Haram's homeland. This is where you'll get these horrific church bombings, mass abductions of women and children, all different kinds of terrorist attacks designed to drive the Christian population out. But there's another region of Nigeria where CSI is even more actively involved, and where the persecution is actually at this present moment even worse. This is called the Middle Belt. This is a religiously mixed zone in the middle of Nigeria. It's quite fertile, where we're seeing a slow motion ethnic cleansing campaign where militias drawn from the Muslim Fulani ethnic group are attacking Christian villages, massacring the people who live there, and driving the survivors out. So almost every week, another village in this middle belt of Nigeria is hit. People are killed, women, children, it doesn't matter. It's just an indiscriminate slaughter. And as this killing progresses, more and more of the middle belt gets taken over and occupied by these Fulani militias. And if they succeed in their long-term goal of driving the Christians out of the middle belt, they will permanently change the political balance in Nigeria towards the Muslim elites in the north. And Nigeria's character as a secular country will be gravely, gravely threatened.
You know, as we're sort of talking about this, we know what the prayer points are, obviously, and what is happening there in Nigeria for leaders, for residents, for changed hearts among terrorists, for the Christians and others who are falling prey to these horrific events and moments. But I do want to reflect on the fact that we have this very positive development of this priest who has been released. And our hope and our prayer is that more people who are in similar circumstances will also have the same positive conclusion to their story. Joel, where can people go to find out more about these ongoing issues?
I'd welcome your watchers, your viewers, and your listeners to go to our website. It's www.csi-usa.org. There we'll keep you up to date about things that are happening in Nigeria, in Syria, in Armenia, and lots of other countries around the world where our brothers and sisters are persecuted. And there you can sign up for our prayer newsletter. You can choose to donate to our efforts if you feel led to do so. You can just stay connected to us, and we'd really be privileged to have that connection with you.
Well, I so appreciate you taking the time and joining us as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Billy.